Welcome to the Christian and Daniel Show.
It's about to get real, well, you know the deal. You won't have to guess how either of them feel. Bringing up the things you don't think to know. Never knowing where the conversation will go. Just a little more than anything goes. It's a Christian and Daniel Show.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christian. And
I'm Daniel.
I talk first. And this guy over here is Daniel.
And
Daniel G. Garza.
Welcome to the Christian and Daniel Show. It is Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. I know March already, folks. I want to welcome all of our friends watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you for watching. Would you mind sharing this on your page and so other folks can watch along with you? If you're watching us on YouTube, scroll down, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know every time there's a new show on the air. And we are so happy to be back. We were gone for 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks. And hey, Charlie. Yes, it's been a while. 3 weeks since we took a little time off. We did 100 episodes. We're like, we're out of here. We're done. We're through. No, but first I had a trip, and then there was a Wednesday that I wasn't feeling well, and then I think last Wednesday was just we needed a little break from.
Well, last Wednesday didn't. No, that was this Wednesday. And it was this. Was it this week?
Oh no.
Was that when we did the portrait?
One Wednesday I went to do the book, the movie reading that I was part of.
Oh yeah, that was it. That was why you didn't rest.
Yeah. No, last Wednesday was when I was like, I wasn't feeling. Remember, I had that pain. I'm like, I just don't feel up to it. So, yeah. So 1 week I was gone to Boston. The other week I was part of a table read, and then last week I wasn't feeling well. But we're back. Hello, everybody. Welcome. How's everybody doing? It is March. Please join us in the conversation. So, where is it?
And we'd like to thank everyone from all the different sources. Facebook.
For joining us. What's going on?
Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. What, am I missing something?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. I named them all?
You named them all, yes. It's after 100 episodes, I would hope you know everywhere that we
No, I had a very strange interview today. It was an interesting experience. I thought I was interviewing for. It's funny. It's through this job board. I got a notice that these people are interested in you and they'd like you to talk to you about this specific opportunity. And I responded and said, yeah. It just popped up for me like a few days ago, and somehow. So today we finally got together on Zoom to have an interview, and I'm sitting there, we're talking, and I was with the executive director and a director of the organization, and the executive director goes, so do you have a lot of experience with test prep? And I'm like, I'm trained to test prep for the ACT, but that's the only test I've ever been trained to test prep with. Otherwise, no, I don't have a great deal of experience. And then she looks at me and I go, well, I was actually interviewing for the in-classroom kindergarten assistant, teaching assistant for a student on the west side of Los Angeles. And she goes, oh, and she goes, that was a long time ago. That position has long since been filled. And it just was so weird. It felt surreal. Like you do all this work to get this interview, make the time, good time. And you sit there and you're being basically told that everything you planned on talking about and trying for doesn't exist. And so it turned into kind of like an informational interview, but like I was sharing the information about my background, what I can do. And they expressed interest. I mean, they expressed interest in me to begin with that dated letter that this job board sent me very delinquently, very late. It sounds like a year late or so. It
Oh
was,
wow, that long? I didn't know it was
yeah,
that long.
it was a long time ago. And I'm like, why didn't it send it to me, notify me? Anyway, it was a great opportunity too. But it was just interesting that I got the feeling, I mean, like they wouldn't have spoken with me as long as they did if
Yeah.
there wasn't an interest with my background, my education, and my experience. That they were like, they kept nodding their heads, and they kept asking questions when I thought the conversation was done. I thought we were leading to the end, and then someone would pop up with another question, and it was very interesting. I've never had that type of experience before, but it was also, in the end, it was kind of complimentary. Like they really did have an interest
Yeah,
in me.
yeah.
'Cause
Which
they-
which is a
because
great
ended
segue.
it. They could have ended it immediately. Like said,
Yeah.
"Oh well, it's for that position. It's been filled. We're very sorry, and have a good rest of your day." But they didn't.
Talk about universal timing, the way that it worked out, which is really interesting. Which is a good segue because we found out as we were setting up for the national days today. Today is National Proofreading Day, which is part of your job that you do now. And so the fact that it's National Proofreading Day and that you got that interview today, ooh.
I know, it's very interesting. And proofreading is one of my earlier this year, last year, it wasn't one of my main jobs, even though I was eligible. That's what I really was hired for with my current company. But this time, that's all the work I'm getting right now is all this essay reviews. So it's pretty cool. So I find it interesting. I believe in serendipity. I just don't believe in accidents or coincidence. There is a definitive reason why I spoke with these two ladies today at that organization. And even though it wasn't for what I thought, that's where I kind of have to say God works in mysterious ways. Like I couldn't have planned a situation like that.
Yeah.
And the notification I got didn't even have a date on it. So I had no idea how old the notice was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey,
and yes, it is also International Women's Day, which hello to all the women in our lives do wonderful things. And it's on my list, but we'll bring it up again a little bit later.
We hope you all celebrate yourselves.
And which also Christian put together 3 tips talking about proofreading.
Well, it's part of what I do for a living is proofreading college admission essays, and leaving Socratic comments, which means I don't tell anyone what to correct. I just lead them in the direction they need to go in to make it something correct. And which I really love. I love the Socratic method. I did not go to a school that used it. So I didn't have a lot of experience with the Socratic method, but it is fantastic because it just taps in on the knowledge that you already have or that the students already have within them. It is frequently, we just need someone to believe in us for us to pull the knowledge that we may doubt that we have, even though we do have it. So I just find it so fulfilling to teach in a Socratic way, so that you're just asking questions and guiding and not giving answers or telling. And we learn more when we pull the information from ourselves than when someone just tells us what to do. Because anytime tells you what to do, you're not learning, you're just doing what you're told. You're just following someone else's, you're basically following my knowledge and what I know and what I've already been taught and learned. So Daniel thought it would be great, and I thought it was a good idea too, to share 3 basic ways to ensure that what you write, be it an email, be it an essay, be it a thesis, be it whatever it may be, whatever type of writing, and except for something very informal. If it's business email, personal email, you can write whatever you want. Or unless your essay that you're writing happens to be a personal narrative, which then the rules that I stand by for formal academic writing don't apply because it's a personal narrative. So you have the freedom to write the way you need to write to make it personal. but yeah, the first step is read your essay out loud to yourself. It sounds weird, but you'd be amazed how many errors you can catch and sentence flow or wording issues you can catch if you conscientiously read your writing, whatever it may be, aloud to yourself. Like I used to do that with my master's program when I would have one of the many theses I wrote. I always would read it out loud to myself, even if it was like 60 pages long. That's the time I have to put in. I'd read it to myself to catch any basic errors or flow errors, because you really catch the flow problems. Or some very basic punctuation errors can be caught when you read it to yourself, because you could also detect where a comma should be. If you have a natural pause in a sentence and there's no comma there, you need to put a comma there, because that is a natural pause. That's what a comma tells us to do. So that would be my first suggestion is always read your item out loud and actively listen to yourself as you're reading, so you can catch those little areas, those little spaces that might need more attention. Number two, if it's possible, and this is another thing I did in my master's program for the entire 2 years with my friend Mandy, who is in Michigan, but we were in an online program at USC. I always got A's. And I think Mandy sometimes got a B+ or an A-. She'd be so pissed. Like, how could we read to each other and get different grades? Anyway, that's just a great, fun memory. And I just love that woman and her husband. I always want to call him Clifford now, and that's not his name. We just nicknamed him that. Is share your document with someone else. Like, even if it's a professional email, if there's someone you trust in your office, like you trust, they won't like copy it or send it to someone in its raw form. And as long as you've stayed professional, share it with someone else. Or if it's an essay or something like that, share it with a fellow classmate like I did, and have them read it and go over it, because totally different eyes that have no familiarity with what you've written will catch a lot more errors and a lot more things, because in our head, we automatically correct things as we go, as we read. So like if someone leaves out the word to from a sentence, we'll add to into it, even though it's not actually there. And that's because we do that for ourselves. But when we're reading someone else's document and proofreading it, it allows us to get out of that thinking. So we go, oh, wait, you're missing the word to, you're missing a comma, a semicolon. So that's also another way, is to have a third party or a second party read it before you send it or before you turn it in, because they'll catch other errors for you and help you out a lot. That's why I did so well with my writings. And then, anytime it's anything except for a personal document, meaning a personal email, a text message, those can be written in a very colloquial or informal way. Everything else needs to be written in a formal, either business formal or formal academic format. That means you don't use colloquialisms like, hey, I gotta, any type of phrase that you would use with friends, you don't use in formal writing, particularly business formal writing. There's no memo, there's no email really for work in a work environment that should be casual. It should always be professional. If it's personal, it can be misinterpreted, and you can get in a lot of trouble with misinterpretations, because HR only cares about how it was taken, not what your intentions were. So avoid writing in a familiar tone. Don't write like you're talking to a friend. Don't write like you're just jamming with coworkers over lunch. It needs to be formal. It needs to be, instead of saying I got this, it's like I acquired this, I have this, or I reached out for this, or I created this. Whatever words you're saying gotta or got. I'm just using that as one example. There are a lot of colloquialisms that we use. Yeah, exactly. Or
I ain't gonna use ain't in my letters no more.
Ain't, or or like. I've seen a lot of people use the word like, and this is just and funny I say that. The word and is a conjunction. It's only meant to connect two different phrases together. And it could be in one sentence, but it's connecting those two phrases in that sentence. It is not meant to be used as the beginning of a sentence. This is a pet peeve for me because it seems that late in recent times, they're starting to relax on that rule. So you could start a sentence with and, but it doesn't make sense since and is a conjunction and not just a noun, a verb, adverb, or a pronoun.
So the three majors are read it out loud,
Read out loud to yourself, active listening,
share it with somebody,
share it with someone else to read, for them to read,
and avoid
writing in the
write as professional as you can.
Yeah, well, write it professional,
All right, cool.
which means don't include casual thoughts. Don't include
Well, good to know. Good to know.
what they call colloquialisms. That's why they call it colloquial. You know, don't include phrases that are only used really in familiar or friend texts or friend conversations.
So the good to know for those of you, I'm late to class. And don't be late to class, people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but if you are looking for somebody to do professional proofreading for you, Christian actually does all the proofreading for my stuff most of the time.
And we recently did it for a friend of Daniel's, and it seemed to be quite an effective change to what she gave me.
Yeah. It's one of my coaching clients who used to have a problem asking for help. Use Christian's services to write her resume letter for her recruiter. And
basically was outlining her experience in career highs.
And actually the recruiter told her that it was amazing. So if you're out there and you're looking for somebody to professionally proofread paperwork for you, Christian's available for business.
I can do it, and I have experience. I have good experience doing it. Years and years of experience.
Reach out to him for it. What else is there? Yes, we talked about, speaking of International Women's, my sister's just joined in.
Yay, Nancy!
One of the amazing women in my life. So,
by the way, it was cute seeing Nancy in the background at Marcy's house when they were. I think you guys were sending off Ham for his 6 months, I guess, in Europe or traveling abroad. She was in the video in the background. It was cute to see her scooting along in the background.
Oh, today is also
kids who are in the foreground dancing.
Today is also learn what your name means, and I went and looked up our names. Which
my name is fairly obvious.
Christian is follower of Christ, which is technically what it is. Daniel is God is my judge. But I just found another website. So I'm going to look up on here and see what it means. Shoot.
Are you going to look up both our names?
Yes, because there's another website that has a little more like definitions. I think the one that I looked up is like very specific to the name.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because my mom told me quite a few years ago where their inspiration for my name came from. But yeah, I know it had its own meaning.
No, yeah, but it gives you 10 different backgrounds for the name, and the only follower of Christ.
That's pretty
one who lives in Christ. But this one is interesting. Newly humbled creation. That's interesting. So another meaning for your name is newly humbled creation. So, which I guess energetically speaking, every day that you speak your name is a time to recreate yourself or
sure
recenter, realign.
Well, and also I do think being in program and in recovery, I kind of have rebuilt myself, and every day I meditate, I rebuild myself. Because I take an action that I would not have taken in a past life, in a past experience.
Interesting. So Daniel means God is my judge. There is really servant of God.
Which you are.
Got it. Yeah, all the 10 ones are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
That I am of God. There you go. Mhm.
And what has your sister always, I think it was your older sister, was it Nancy? Who
Say
said
what?
you obviously aren't done with your work, so you still
Oh yeah. Well, and actually a lot of people who have heard my story more lately have always said
oh, yeah.
God has a plan for you. So
Yeah. Yeah, we should
what
do
is my
Charlie
name?
and
You guys
Nancy.
don't mind looking it up. Yes, in fact, I did look it up first. So hold on, let me go back and find it. Um,
Yeah, I can't remember if it was, you said it was Nancy or Juanita who said that to you, but I think probably everyone has thought it with you. Like, obviously Daniel's work is not done because you have faced some of the scariest health issues in our world. And,
Charlie, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and you're still kicking. Thank God. I'm grateful for that.
So Charlie means warrior
Ooh,
or man of courage.
I think that's very true, particularly with all you've dealt with in recent times. You faced it with courage and a willingness, and you just faced it with courage. You never seemed like you were lost in fear. And I'm sure you felt fear, but Charlie, I think that's very accurate. I think that's a good description for you.
Well, I know that this is not going to go to your head, Nancy. Nancy means, it translates to several things: full of grace,
Yes.
gift of God.
A what? Gift of God?
Gift of God.
Oh, yeah.
And this is particularly cool: gracious princess.
Aw, that's probably my favorite one, just because my little gay stripe.
Yeah. So you are
You're a gift of God.
Yeah, you're a gracious princess. So there you go.
I love it.
Those are the names.
Anyone else can let us know.
Speaking of God, this weekend.
Oh, yes. I entered a church and I even put my finger in the holy water. It did not boil.
That didn't sound right. It just didn't sound right. And for those of you that remember, this was the
that's Daniel's outfit that he wore to the christening.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I have to do it.
I was a little pageant boy. But here is the picture of our godson.
Oh, look at him. He's so cute. And I mean me. Isn't he adorable, guys? Admit it. He is adorable.
But that is Jesus Adriel, our godson.
What a beautiful name.
So there's a story. Yes, totally cute. And David, I will look yours up in just a second. But so quick story. I didn't post. I'll bring up the video before we end the show. But the deacon that was doing the ceremony, let me take the picture off. When he asked for the name, and my comadre Laura, the mom, goes, "It's Jesus or Jesus."
She goes, Jesus.
Adrian. So somewhere he understood Brian. So he says, "We present Brian to the congregation." It's like, or something like that. And she's like, "No, Jesus." He's like, "Yes, Brian."
It's like, you know what? I think some part of him did not want to say Jesus. He was like, I cannot say I'm presenting Jesus to the flock.
And
So his name became Brian.
We're like, no. So I look over at Laura and I go, I guess this American name is going to be Brian.
That is so funny. Oh, that's going to be funny as he gets older.
I'm going to look for the videos while we talk.
Oh, my Lord, people. I mean, I know Nancy knows exactly what I'm talking about here. It is such a shock when you see all these people you saw as little kids, when you met the family, like when we met Ellie's family, all the there weren't as many grandchildren, and two, they were all so little and so cutesy and innocent and young. Oh, my Lord. All but the newest ones are like young adults. Like, it was shocking to see them. Most of them are taller than me, which is, I'm not short. So they were pretty tall. And the sons were all like young men, and we're all anyway. It was just shocking. I can see now how my parents, when they would see children, people that they met as children and who are now young adults, it's like you just go, oh my Lord, how old am I? How old am I? These kids have grown so much that they're young men, young women thinking about boys or girls or both or whatever.
Sure.
And, taking care of their siblings who are much younger than them.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. Like, it just blew my mind.
Before we move on to mine, the name Douglas, I was really surprised by this. The name Douglas has a couple of different meanings, but it's dark stream, dark colors, or black river. That's which I found really interesting.
Ominous. Actually, we got to remember.
Oh.
No, Nancy. Oh no, I've never said that, girl. I think you and I are pretty close in age, so I can't say that. No, I'm just saying, you know what I mean, because you like me are watching all these babies turn into young adults. It's like shocking. It always makes me go, how did I miss? I feel like I missed something. Like even going online and seeing Alexa with her boyfriend, if she has one. I don't know if that was a boyfriend or whatever he might have been. It was on TikTok. And seeing Deva and seeing everyone just living their lives, doing their thing, it just blows me away. That Abraham is out of country. That's huge. It's rewarding and it's beautiful because it shows what a success you are and how amazing you are, that you got these amazing people and they're all, it's because of you. So I think that's amazing. And it's just miraculous. But no, I would never say you're old, honey. We're even on the most vainest side of me, we're too close in age for me to say that. I would never do it. But Daniel would. I'm sure Daniel would say it.
I'm trying to get the video
but yeah, so
of the actual baptism, but it's not coming up yet.
So Nancy, how did the send off for Abraham? Do you know where Abraham is going? Because that was something Daniel and I didn't know. I was just wondering if you might have an idea where he was headed. What I was thinking, Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, but I wasn't sure. And for 6 months, I almost get teary-eyed when I see people I love and care about leaving, getting out in the world, like seeing these other places. Because my time in Europe probably gave me the greatest growth as an adult, and it also kind of puts the United States in perspective. Like everything we think is so important here, you go to these other countries and it's not. Like they're like, whatever, we got our own stuff to think about and worry about. And that's what always, oh my Lord, he's in, oh my gosh, Eastern Europe and Romania. Oh, that's going to be an experience. I hope
he's the great nephew in the family, so we wish him all the best and all the best luck. And
I hope he gets out and explores a little bit. It's great being in the military, I think, and being able to explore. I went all over. I lived and worked in Munich, Germany, and I was there for quite a few years. So it was about 7 years. So my friend Tony and I both were working for
Welcome to the Christian and Daniel Show.
Sorry, technical glitch.
What used to be Deutsche Telekom, but they went through a breakup, like AT&T was broken up here, and now they're back together again. And we went to Ibiza, Spain, Portugal. We went to Paris a lot. Like we loved Paris. Went to Paris or France. Went to Paris. Went to Toulouse. We went to we went all over the place. Like basically all of Western Europe was explored. Oh yeah, Munich is gorgeous. It's breathtakingly beautiful. And when I was there, it was still the Deutsche Mark. That's how long ago it was that the European Union didn't exist. And we were there with the Deutsche Mark, which was basically exchanging 2 Deutsche Mark to every dollar. So we were making good money, and it was really being stretched out because everything was like half off basically. But no, we explored. We took commercial commuter flights to as many places as possible. Like every weekend, we were out of town. We had it just because that's what you do when you're there. It's easier to do that or take a train. Amsterdam was amazing, another great experience, but it was pretty incredible.
That's right.
But it did alter my perspective a lot. So when I came home, America was in a much better lens for me. It was, I still see things very differently.
Awesome. Well, one day I hope to be able to go to Europe. I'm hoping that 2024 I can get to Spain for the International AIDS Conference. So, but speaking of looking international, we had the opportunity. We were selected to get our portraits taken by a very upscale photography.
Super. Like a rich people pictures.
Yeah, and we were on a mission. Well, okay. First, it was my mission, and then I had to get Christian involved because he had to try on the suit.
Has to be in the picture.
No, you had to try on the suit.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you here in LA, we were, what is it? The McDonald's food in Munich is completely different. I bet it is.
It is. And that's where I was introduced to the McCafe, which were the McDonald's. That's basically, they were all McCafes throughout Munich. So there's only a few. When I was there, there's only like 2, I think. But I'm sure there's more as the decades have gone.
So it was a day out. It was a Friday. Friday? Yeah, it was a Friday before. And it was pouring rain. And I had the adventure. No, it was a Saturday because you were off. And I had the idea of running around. I found some suits online that I liked at Burlington, which, by the way, go check them out. We don't work for Burlington. We're not sponsored, but they have some good prices for some stuff.
Yeah, they really did.
I was able to find a suit for Christian, which off the rack. Thank you I was hoping you would say that. Off the rack, and then we went back and bought the same suit for me, which, by the way, it's probably the only time you'll see us dress alike because we don't normally do it. But this is not.
But I put it out there because we're so differently bodied. I don't think anything we wear makes us look like we're wearing the same thing. Like I don't look at our picture in our suits and think that's the same suit because we are. I mean, we're very different. We're not the same size. Like if we look the same, like you see those other couples who kind of almost look like brothers, and they dress alike. You're like, oh, But that's because they're like on the same size, everything.
But this is not the official photo. This is a photo we took at home.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is not the.
We go. I am so looking forward to sharing those pictures when we get them. But here is what we wore. And I think, hey, comadre, how's it doing? It's so good to knowing that you're like comadre now for real. But this is the suits that we bought. Shoot, now I just forgot the name of the brand of the suits.
Van Buren.
Van Buren, yes. Thank you. Yes, they are very fancy. We already had our shirts. But
understand, I think these coats fit pretty well, considering they're not tailored at all.
Yeah. They came off the rack, and they looked really good. Let me tell you, everything has to. For me, everything has this energy to it. The photo that we approved to get done, because they do a painter comes and does touch-ups on it, and
it's a real portrait.
Yeah, and before you ask, yes, it's overpriced and it's totally an indulgence, but I wanted something that we could look at that would be like a compass, a guide to the kind of people that I thrive for us to be business owners, and that photo is just that. But
it's also a multi-generational thing. Like we will leave it to, when our time is done, it'll be left to, most likely our godson.
Yeah. So
And
you have to have a big house so you can hang our picture on it.
yeah, it's not that big.
Uh, but it's one of Nancy and I were talking on the way here. It's one of those things that like it lifted up my spirit when I saw how and kudos to the photographers that took the pictures. They managed to get from us
Oh, God.
this pose, this power. And when you've been through hard times and tough situations like we have, something like that just gives you this. No, that was not the pose he did. So just by the way, but it gives you this inner strength. So I'm excited for when we get it and we can show it off and stuff. So
The toothless smile, which is so natural.
and then what other things happened? One of the reasons that we didn't have a show several weeks ago was because I was in Boston, and this is just a picture that I took in Boston at the GBH Studios, formerly WGBH Studios. This is one of my favorite pictures that I took there. Somebody took it for me, but I was able to share my story along with 7 other cancer survivors. It's called Stories from the Stage, and 8 cancer survivors, each sharing a particular moment in their life. We only had 7 minutes to share a story. We trained with a speech coach for 2 months to make sure that it got to where we wanted it. I was able to add a couple of little jokes and make it more myself. Christian got to hear it the day before I left for
Great.
Boston.
It brought tears to my eyes.
Uh,
I have one eye. To my
Right.
eyes.
Yes, to the one eye that works. Yeah, the not glass one. But I'm very excited. So that's one of the reasons we missed the show, because I was in Boston shooting another show, and I think it comes out in June for Cancer Awareness Month. The only thing is that out of the 8 people that shot the show, they're going to edit it down to only 3 people. It's 2 different shows, 2 episodes. Only 3 people, so 2 people won't make it. I'm hoping that because I'm the only Latino in the 8 people, that I make it because of diversity. But I'll let you folks know when it airs. It'll probably be airing on PBS, and they have it on their YouTube page. But I'm very proud of have been chosen for that. So it's been a couple of weeks of like really cool things happening around us. So I'm really excited.
Now, I will say WGBH, now GBH, has quite an illustrious history.
Yes. Okay. So if you remember, we talked about this a while back in a couple of episodes. If you remember the show Zoom on PBS, it was shot at those studios. Now it's not the same studio; they've moved to a newer studio.
Yeah.
But
many decades later.
Yeah, but it's still WGBH. I cried a little bit when we got there, and I don't think any of the other cast was like new.
Yeah, they didn't have a connection like you did.
Yeah. So I was giddy. I was telling everybody the story because here's the true story. When I was about, I don't know if I remember if I was like 7 or 8, but there was a Puerto Rican boy, I think his name was Luis, who joined the cast. And I thought, well, surely now they need a Mexican kid. So I wrote a letter because when I was in grade school, I danced, I was in choir, I was in advanced classes. I knew how to cook. So I wrote them a letter to tell them that, hey, I want to be on your show when you come to Dallas, because for some reason I thought that they would come just for me. And hey, compadre, ¿cómo estás? I hope you're feeling better.
Hello.
And that they needed me. So I don't remember if I this is the part that I'm doubtful about. I don't remember if I put a picture of me inside so they could see what I looked like.
Knowing you probably did.
Probably did. And I gave it to my parents and I told them to send it. And knowing my parents, they probably didn't. But I'm still, to this day, I'm going to live by that they did send it, but they just didn't have room for me. And that finally, when I turned 52, they were like, "Hey, we have a space for you now on the show." So for me, this was my Zoom moment. And what it pissed me off was that I bought a shirt that looked like the Zoom kids, and I forgot to take it with me. So I
You
didn't get
forgot a lot on that, Jarrett.
I,
Now, what happened to Jesus?
we'll talk about it afterward.
Okay. Well, also, there's predating the Zoom experience. WGBH was a very small public broadcasting studio, and it was running into major financial issues. This is way back in the early 50s. And they were trying to produce content, but the content they were producing, no one wanted to watch. And so they met a very tall, brusque woman who had spent a lot of time in France with her husband and learned to become a French cook. And her name happened to be Julia Childs. And she basically saved that studio with her cooking show. And they also pioneered a bunch of different ways to film cooking shows so that we as viewers can see what's happening. Where many of those tactics were discovered, producing her show for the studio. And she was there until her last day. She was associated with that studio, and her show was broadcast on WGBH Boston. So this studio has quite an interesting and kind of amazing history. And it's just great that, they had these shows. Yeah, there she is. And what's amazing is the actresses who've played her, actually, Meryl Streep and the other actresses who aren't as well known, but they actually look a lot like her. They did a good job with the casting. And it's just incredible. I was just so so happy for Daniel, because that's such a historically significant studio. And to be invited there. Not
that photo,
not like he said, "Take me." They invited him.
That photo was in the green room where we were hanging out. So when we walked in and I looked up and I was like, "Of course you would be here, Julia Child. Of course."
That was like the whole reason I knew what WGBH is, or GBH, is because of the movie, the movies about Julia Child's life and her show.
I'm trying to look for. Oh, excuse me, I just got a hiccup. I'm trying to look for a picture of our group, but I don't have one on my system here. So anyway, I'll show them again next time. Are you ready?
Oh, sure. Hi, my pick of the week is the show Wolfpack. It is starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yeah, I just love Sarah Michelle Gellar. I've loved her since her days as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it's so great to see her come back. And, yes, is she older? Yes. Does she look the same as back at, 30 plus years ago? No. But she is still gorgeous, beautiful, and an amazing actress. And she's playing a very interesting character on the show. She's an arson inspector, but there's a lot more to her character. But it's Wolfpack. It's on Paramount Plus. I think all episodes they're still producing new episodes for this first season. It's its freshman season. But it's great. It's about this mountain town in Southern California that suddenly, it just starts with these kids on a school bus going down this highway, a rural highway, and there's this huge fire, and the kids get out of the bus even though they're not supposed to, and some of them mysteriously disappear into the smoke, and others experience some less than, or let's just say derogatory experiences just outside the smoke. And then all these animals come running out. But the show is well produced, high production values. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'll just say that again. My favorite Super Bowl commercial is because of Alicia Silverstone. So I have certain female actresses I just adore. And because she played such a strong actress, and she's again playing another strong female character, it's in line with this month, and it's just really a terrific, well-written show. It does keep your attention, and it does keep you kind of on the edge to see like what's happening next. I want to watch the next episode.
And we took notice of what you've got, what some of the messages I got. So now we're posting where you can find it, so you know where to go.
Yes, so you don't have to just remember me saying it, which we would forget to do every so occasion.
My pick of the week is Cheat. If you have been following our shows for a while, you know that I like competition shows and I like game shows. And Cheat is a British show. It has two hosts, Danny Dyer and Ellie Taylor, which I feel like I've seen. I didn't look it up, but I feel like I've seen them in other things. So here's the premise of the game. It starts off with 4 players, and I'm not breaking. There's no disclaimer needed. I'm not going to reveal anything, but it's 4 players that start off, and the lady Ellie starts out by asking a question, and she goes down the line. Each contestant gets 3 questions each. She goes down. Now, the thing is that there is this little screen that pops up and stands in front of them. And there's a little button down at the bottom. So the contestant, when they hear the question, if they know the answer, they can give the answer. If they don't know, they have to very casually, like nobody's seen, like bloop, and they can hit the button and the answer comes up. That's the cheat. Now, the other contestants can either contest that by pressing a button on their side and saying, hey, they're cheating, or they just kind of let it go by. Now, at the end of that first round, every time for every one of the cheating answers, money gets taken out. And then one person gets voted off, and then 3 people go on to the next round, and then 2 until there's a winner. But it is so cool because, okay, so here's the silly part. And I'm going to bring Christian back on for this one. Because, and by the way, it's on Netflix, and you can stream the whole season right now. The thing that makes it funny was that the first episode, we missed like the first 5 minutes of it. So we missed the whole introduction of how the game was played.
So we had no idea what was going on.
So we were like, how are they cheating? Because they were giving all the right answers. And so we're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that's the right answer. How are they cheating? So then when we watched the
really
second episode,
perplexing. Like, you're
yeah,
like,
but we watched it anyway. We're like, maybe we'll figure it out by the end, but we didn't by the end. So then I'm like, well, let's just watch the second episode. Maybe they'll say something that makes sense. Well, obviously they did. They gave us the instructions on how the game is played, and now it made sense. And now the rest of the episodes were like, oh wow, because now you're like, even us.
now you can get into it.
Yeah, us as the audience, we're trying to figure out, like, did they really know the answer? And you're watching their hands and their movement, yeah, to see if they figure it out. What is it? You guys need to watch The Last of Us. Oh yeah, you're good with the show. Christian, have you played the game?
Yes,
you played the game.
I own the game. Yeah.
I want to watch it. I just haven't had it. It's on my queue. I just know that there's some really intense parts, and I've been very stressed, so I didn't want to watch it stressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's an intense show. It's an intense video game, and they've even remastered it just recently and coming out with a remastered version of it, kind of upscaled to 4K now. But it's an intense game, and thus the show would have to be intense. And there is quite a bit of, it's a violent game, and I haven't watched the show yet, but I'm sure there's quite a bit of violence in the show too.
But I will watch it. I will end up eventually watching it.
Yeah, Cheat it's a British game show. The E is actually a pound symbol.
Playing the second part right now. Great video and show. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I've never. Yeah, Cheat is new. This is the first season. It's the first season, right?
I think there's multiple seasons, but in Great Britain, not on Netflix.
On Netflix, there's only one season. I'm looking at the page right now.
Yeah.
But it's on Netflix and it's a British show, which kind of makes it, I don't know, for me, it makes it funnier when they're like dish on each other.
Yeah, they do, and they do it differently than we would here.
Hi, Michael. What did you miss? Oh my God, everything we talked
so
about.
Much, actually.
The whole time we've been talking about you. We were talking today, actually, for those of you that missed the beginning of the show, I know some of you weren't here. We talked about today is National What Is Your Name Mean Day. Today is also, where is it? National Women's Day. Hold on, I'm bringing up my notes. There we go. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention today is Be Nasty Day. So you get to be nasty today to people. I'll just stick to Mortal
That
Kombat.
means you should go on YouTube and type in "Nasty" by Janet Jackson and listen to the song.
Your master's degree. Ah, congratulations! That is awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful. It is an amazing feeling when you actually could feel and hold your degree. That no one can take that away from you, Michael. Congratulations.
Well, this will make you feel good because we were looking up names to see what they meant. Some of the definitions of what Michael means is saint, like God, and smart. So I guess
it's the latter.
It's just in time.
Yep.
You have the name of our Lord and Savior. Yes, you do. You and Christian can hang out together. Jesus Christian.
Jesus. Well, and that's why you guys, I don't know if you guys were here when we were talking about it. That's why I think the deacon refused to say Jesus or Jesus because he just could not say it.
I have the video queued up, so it's ready to go. Y'all want to watch it? So this is the actual moment when we go up, and it's less than a minute long. I was exaggerating when I'm telling people that it was like 5 minutes. No, it was less than a minute long. Okay, so here is the video of the actual baptism part.
Your parents and godparents at your will. You can baptize Bruce in the faith that we have professed to do. We shall baptize in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please welcome Bruce into our faith community.
Really well.
Yes. So his American name is Bruce.
Yes, Bruce.
Yes, we talked about that earlier. Yes.
Yeah,
so
I just said it's because he just refused to say Jesus.
Michael, lazy, tired, hungry, and question everything about life.
Yeah,
that's the Mexican
thing.
definition, Michael. That's the Mexican definition.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I keep saying Brian, but no, the father called him Bruce, but he said it like twice.
Yeah,
and Laura kept correcting him. It was like Jesus. Oh, Bruce. That's why it sounded. That's what it was, Bruce. But oh my God. But
he's so gringo.
for those of you that missed the photo, here is the picture of us with him. Where's it? Here it is. Yay! So cute, so adorable. The best. I'm gonna say this, and the best part of the whole day for me was we were having dinner, and we finished dinner, and he was a little fussy, but he came and I grabbed him, and he finally lay down on my lap and fell asleep, and just he was gone. Like he'd had his day, he was done. And for me, just like the bond was there. Like that was the moment for me. Like I don't know, he probably will never remember that, but I will remember him. I'll remind him. I'll remember him. I'll remind him. But for me, that moment was to just hold him and him falling asleep, and that was just like, okay, like this is my kid.
It's important to note, we don't fall asleep with anyone that we're not comfortable with or trust. Like if there wasn't that innate, trust, he wouldn't fall asleep. Like he's not going to fall asleep with just anyone. And that's a weird thing to say because people say he's a baby. I'm all, you'd be shocked how insightful babies are. In fact, they're probably more insightful than adults because they haven't been taught to not listen to their intuition and thoughts. So I just thought that was amazing. I remember that moment. I could have swore I took a picture, but I'll have to look it up because if I did, I need to give it to you.
Yeah, so I can put them in the albums. And they're good. If you go on my Facebook page, you'll see more pictures and videos that we took and stuff. So we'll post those. I've just been behind on it all. I had a big day yesterday, and I worked 14 hours yesterday. 14 hours as a driver, and it was exhausting. I'm ready for bed now. Like pajamas are going on as soon as we end the show. I'm going to say that. And then for everybody who's been following us and has been has worked with me on a workshop or the alignment, mind, body, and spirit. My cards are being printed as we speak. They're probably going to be delivered soon. But this is my logo for my spiritual coaching program, the alignment. So if you are interested in a spiritual life coach, whether for 1 session or 8 sessions, get in touch with me. And because you are following us here on the Christian and Daniel Show and you're friends of the show, I will give you an additional discount. So please make sure you get in touch for prices and scheduling. What was that? My sister is looking to be godmother of my second, and she is a brat and devil. Now I want to put bad for the baptism. What?
My God.
So the padre could wash the devil out of the kid. That is so wrong. But I'm going to tell you, the only thing that bugged me was that the actual baptism was so short. I had a whole moment scheduled. I wanted to like cry. I wanted to be novela, and they didn't give me the time to do that. So
Yes, Daniel did not get the time to make the baptism about him.
there wasn't enough stage time for me to accomplish what I wanted. Anyway, we're almost running out of time.
But I want to sincerely say thank you to Jesus and Laura. And how I always hear people saying your name. But definitely want to say thank you to you guys for this opportunity, for your trust, and for your unconditional love of us. We are beyond words honored to be a part of your family and to have the opportunity to manage and help with the spiritual well-being of your child. Thank you. Yes, the fire truck went by, or they found me, one of the two.
They're coming for you, Charlie. Be careful. But yes, what Christian said, it's such a privilege, and because Christian and I had awkward relationships with our godparents, or non-existent,
Or the absence of.
yeah, that we recognize and realize the importance that makes in a child's life, and we take this very serious. It's not going to come without its spoiling moments and showing him how to be a little sassy and be a little devo. But at the end of the day, we already love him like he's ours, and that's what. So thank you for that. Anyway,
Thank
stop
you.
being
Guys.
mushy. Stop being mushy, Christian. Oh God.
Well, that's my job apparently in our relationship.
Yeah.
I'm always the mushy one.
So needy. Anyway, for everybody else watching, we'll be back with Zodiacs Friday, so don't miss it at 6 p.m. I have a guest on Saturday for Put It Together. Her name is Megan Swan, and she is going to be talking to us about sobriety and recovery and some of the projects that she works on. So make sure you join us Saturday at noon Pacific time for that interview. And then we'll be back next week. We've been trying hard to launch Insightful. It just hasn't launched the way that we want it yet. But don't worry, we will come back with that. I know that Wayne had some ideas to come on the show and talk about a movie, so we'll coordinate with him and do that. But again, if you are interested, Mondays, 6 p.m., if there's a movie that motivated you, inspired you, irritated you, and you want to talk about it, come on the show. Let us know you want to be a guest, and we will do a little insightful and talk about the movie. So that's about that. Anything else you want to add before we go?
Thanks, folks, for hanging in with us. Sorry about the 3-week hiatus. We're going to try to not do that too often, and for the foreseeable future, we are back.
And this is 101. Let's make it to 200. Talk to you folks next week. Bye.
Bye.